Hi guys, thanks for joining us for part two of Harriet's interview. If you have any questions here during this, please leave those in the comments, and Harriet has agreed to potentially do another interview with me if there's enough questions. So if you do have some questions, ask them in the comments below, and we may just get another little part of this. Also, we recently interviewed Shelley Davies Wygant. She's the author of Haunted Ellicott City, and we spoke to her about 7 of the locations and the hauntings going on in those locations in Ellicott City. And we're putting together a little series. We're just kind of working on some of the historical photos and that kind of stuff to put together all that content. But that's on the way pretty soon, and we hope you'll stay tuned. Please don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. Ringing the bell is really important because that keeps you notified of when we put up new content and when it's available to you to view. Also, we really could use your help to get the word out there. So if you could share this channel with your social networks and your friends that you think might like this kind of content, that would be awesome. Because we believe together we can build this channel and grow it to the point that we're able to create an episode 2 of the Undeparted documentary, and from there hopefully we can turn it into a series and bring that content to you and just learn what's going on out there and do that as we go. Okay, let's jump into the interview. Are there dangerous entities out there?
Yeah. Yes, there are.
Okay.
Yes, there are. And we, as a species, are born with good and bad, dark and light. That is how we evolve. We can't evolve out of it. Now, we have to have both of those present. It is by choice that we become dark or we become light. So now you take that and you put it into a spirit that's bad. That was the choice it's made all along. And when that body died, that physical body died, it became all evil, all that it ever wanted to be. Those that are all of the light, they all go to heaven or where we perceive heaven to be because they're in the light. That is the way this works. But the evil is definitely here.
Is it necessary at times for to have someone like yourself come in and assess a situation to better understand what's going on? So for people to have someone like you come in, is that necessary at times?
I am not doing this alone. Everybody knows that. Okay. I am tapping into a wisdom that is greater than my own. And that wisdom can fill in the blanks. So when I can't be somewhere, I can't be across country to take care of your problem and you're in a crisis situation, that guidance is going to take up the slack. It's going to give me all the pieces that I need to handle it properly. I just have to ask for that. I have to, but here again, it's my intentions. So my intentions is do what's in the highest good. And to help humans sometimes to understand what is in the highest good. Once that can be determined, then I can advise. And then I go from there. But I'm always listening to a higher wisdom. It is not my own.
A lot of people on the comments often kind of warn me, right? Like some of them are worried about me, and it's nice. And the question is, should people proceed carefully if there are signs of something darker around them? And these are kind of some of the things too that get addressed. I see on my site where people are like, you need to be careful going into these situations. Can you speak to that? And
Absolutely. And I think one of your greatest gifts and the best protection you can ever have is your own intuition. We are all born with intuition. We all have it. It's just here again, our culture has never developed it. We've never seen it for what it really is, but things are changing, and that's coming into play in a very big way in our country, in areas that you would not even think about. But your own intuition is the most incredible gift you have been given from Creator. It's not your mind. It's more than that. You know, our mind gives us a lot of good information, explores wonderful things. But what about a new experience? Your intuition is that first piece that lets you know when something doesn't feel right, when something feels dangerous, or when something just feels a little off. It tells us that. Or if it feels, man, keep going. This is great. That's your intuition talking. It's a new experience. You haven't been there before. So if you learn to pay attention to your intuition and not shut it down, not close it off, man, you've got the best protective mechanism ever. And that's why it's there. It's to push us on. That's what helps explorers to be explored, get on out there. There's something to learn. There's more information. Get on out there. It pushes us. It also guides us. Don't go this way, go that way. This way feels good. That way doesn't feel good. So there's so much that's connected with that intuitive piece. And that's what it's all about, is tuning into it, listening to it. And that's what's protecting you. It's when the intuition says, man, this is really dangerous, if you listen to it, it'll keep you out of there. You'll make a different choice or decision. But if you shut it off, and we all can, then that's the downfall.
Can a person get rid of spirits on their own?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And a lot of people do and don't even know what they've done.
Well, I follow if I bring something in, I'll sage it, and if I feel like anything feels negative or off, I just say, this is it for you. You're going to go, better safe than sorry. I say, you're not coming in this door. You're going to go back to where you came. I thank you for your interests, but I would like to take possession of this item. I know it makes my wife feel good for me to do that, but it's also just, it's easier for me to do that. And I would say, I don't feel like I think, when the tree crashed down in the Undeparted and all that, I mean, it really was profound, like how you could say it's a coincidence, but it would be the coincidence of all coincidence, all that situation that went down, and the other little things that happened, like the chair moving and that. And people say, we made that happen, and we're all actors, and that's fine. There's always going to be people that don't believe what we're telling them, and they're welcome to believe whatever they want, but the truth is always the truth. And that's my goal, at least for my person, is to tell the truth of the situation, if that makes,
Yeah, and I think the difference between people who believe and people who don't believe is one experience.
Are there actions that people can take to protect themselves and their loved ones? And can you talk about that? Obviously, probably doing some of what you've recommended to me is just trying not to bring it in to your space to begin with, right? I mean,
exactly. And not filling your space up with things that are negative, or that's one reason why people use symbols for things. There are all kinds of symbols, and every faith out there has symbols. And that's why, is they believe that cross or that Star David or whatever their symbol is going to keep them safe. Well, there's a lot of truth to that, because that is making a statement of what you choose. And if you wander into some place that's very dark, but this is your choice, it's a heads up, believe it or not, to negative energy, or energy that's opposed to that. It says, ooh, I don't know whether I want to mess with this person or not. And in that pause, you can move on, move into safety, go to another room, another building, drive across town. It's just the way it works. So those are things, prayers, certainly, asking. Simply asking is more powerful than most people understand, because of the forces that are out there that can hear and can protect you. So asking for protection, um, filling yourself with light, being as full of light and love and kindness. Those are your best defenses always. If you're mean and grumpy, you better look out. But if you are full of joy and you do kind deeds, and even if you're a grumpy person is not a bad person. It's just a grumpy person. But grumpy people can be very kind and loving to others. It's just something that makes them grumpy. So it's okay. It is your deeds, your goodness, your kindness that also helps to protect you. So those are just some simple things you can do. Saging, of course, is something that I teach for, or have shown. In fact, I think you have a clip on there that
Yes.
shows how to properly do that. And you can sage furniture, jewelry, your house. And the more you do those things, you're keeping it out. When you sage your home, you are keeping out, you're sending the dark a signal. I'm here. And the dark seeks dark.
Yeah.
So the more light there is, the less dark can enter, the less opportunity or chance for darkness to enter.
What are the biggest challenges that you find in your work?
Meeting people right where they are and helping them from that point in and remaining in their comfort level. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I have is solving the problem, but not pushing people out of their comfort zone. Helping them to get more comfortable is a real challenge. And we all know some people are very difficult to work with. Not everyone's easy to work with. So I'm going into situations in everything that I do with some people who don't want to be there, who like what they're experiencing, or they don't feel well, and they're not easy to deal with. And so just people are the biggest challenge of all, and having patience with them. And I'm looking at having patience with both sides.
What is the most rewarding thing you find in your work?
Oh, every day. It's somebody that has an answer to things that have them worried and concerned, whether it's their health or whether it's and that can be your emotional health, your physical health, mental health, all of those things. If you think you're crazy, if things are wrong and there's an explanation it's just that of helping another person to get in a better place and to help stay there.
Can you tell me a little bit about your experience working on The Undeparted and what made you interested in that project?
Well, I wasn't interested in being on camera. I just have never had that experience and didn't really even know how to work with cameramen all around and people all around. I've always gone. And quite frankly, one of the biggest intrigues for me was yes, I know there's work to be done when there's spirits and entities there that are causing a problem. But what really captures me is human life that's having a problem dealing with it. And that was Becca, that was her story, but feeling her energy, feeling what was going on within her, and then feeling it radiate through out to her partner and out to her children, feeling what they've been through, what they had experienced, and were still experiencing the fact that it was still going on and had been going on for so long, just made it at some point a point where I couldn't say no anymore. I wasn't going to do it for just anyone. I had to be sure, to me, what was very important, that we kept it real, that we were authentic in what we did, that we were coming from a good place, not that place of just curiosity, other things don't matter. No, this had to be about going in and solving a problem, but telling the story, why we needed to go in, why we needed to solve a problem. What lawyers would call build your case as to why work was needed there and what was going on a continuing basis, like the portal that was upstairs. You could fix bits and pieces, but if you didn't fix the whole thing, it was going to be no better when we left.
I
So
think we left it in a better place. But
absolutely.
I have the sense that, over time, that energy has kind of come back or called back because um, they have reached out to me, and there is stuff going on in the shop still. And, we want to take care of people. I want to go take out someone else, and see what we can do. But, I think sometimes I think of it, for me, to make it simple for myself, like if you have an ant infection, ant infestation in your house, or a pest infestation, you take care of it, but they come back and you have to take care of it again. You have to maintain that. And
Right.
in a situation like the shop, where they're bringing in antiques on a regular basis, and they've lived with that kind of energy for so long, it seems like, it's something that it needs maintenance, just like you tend your grass, just like you tend to all sorts of things in life. It just seems,
Right.
um,
That's right. It doesn't mean they can't come back. Just like with the ants you're talking about, it does mean that the ants might go somewhere else and you might not ever see them again. So it can mean that, or it can mean they return, like you're talking about. And certainly, if we put out crumbs, or we, such as continue to buy furniture, that kind of thing, from certain sources or certain parts of the world, and we bring that back in, we're much more vulnerable for it to happen again. But for that moment in time, we left it a far better place than it was before. That was our job. That also is critical in this kind of work, knowing what is your job and stepping away when the job is done and turning loose of it.
do you believe that there are people out there that need our help?
Oh, absolutely. I don't just believe it, I know it. Yes. There are people who definitely are actually begging for our help. They just don't know who we are yet. They haven't met us or haven't heard about us. It just hasn't gotten to that point yet. Absolutely. And I think it's making them sick. Physically, I think a lot of health issues are tied to this as well. Their stress, their worry. You can only imagine when you're living in fear. You're living somewhere with, you don't know what's going on. You don't understand the story, and you feel like you don't fit in the story. All these things make us not a healthy person. So there are a lot of people who are living with those things and just don't know where, how to get help. So absolutely. And I think in the process, their stories are very important.
So someone in the audience said something to the effect, they have an active spirit in their home. The TV changes stations, knocking, very specific scents, burning hair. What I believe, this is their words, are from the last, that they believe they're from the last century. I wish to smudge with sage, but my only issue is that my daughter tragically passed away at age 20. And if I try to rid the spirit that exists here, will that force her out?
It makes perfect sense and a wonderful question. I think there are a lot of people who are in their mind asking that very same question. The answer to that is no fear whatsoever. What the sage is doing is dispelling and pushing away negative energy, dark energy. Her daughter is in the light. Her daughter is not in that dark place. And so that's what's being sent away by the sage, not love, not light. And the love between her and her daughter will make it always possible for her to visit no matter what.
Excellent. One thing that comes a lot on the channel in the comments that people don't understand is they don't believe that, they think that spirits can just travel through walls. And we talked about they need a doorway. You mentioned this in the Undeparted. And, I try to say, sometimes I'll mention that, and I feel like I'm trying to speak a little bit for you, but I also say this could get lost in translation. But, walls absorb energy. right? If you have heat energy on one side of the wall, it's not going to come through well because walls are meant to keep energy from passing through. And you said to me, and we didn't get that in the edit, because there's only so much time. And you did say that something to the effect that they could come through the wall, but they would end up out the other side with a complete lack of energy. And I just want to clarify this and let you clarify this, because that makes sense to me, because all energy transfers and it's being pulled in all different directions, and having a small crack or a space, it makes sense that that's an easier channel flow. I don't think you were ever saying they couldn't. I think it was just more they're much more readily going to pass through a space. Please, like you.
That's right. That's right. If we want easy and free movement, we open a door, a window. That's much easier, and they're going to seek that first because it's easier. If here again, going back to energy, look at a hurricane, look at a tornado, look at the energy that's involved in that. Okay, so when we see energy that's out of control, which is what dark energy and evil energy can do, if it gets angry enough, it can go out of control and create utter chaos. So if it builds up enough, just like talking about the wall, okay? Now, if the heat on the other side of that wall gets too powerful, you're going to begin to feel it in the room that you're in, even though it's not full force. Yeah. So it can come through that way, but there won't be much left when they will have used up that energy, and so they come on the other side. It's really, they don't have much left. It's sort of like using up energy in a battery. You pushed it and used it really hard, and then it's drained. I just wanted to clear that up because it was made a point many times, and I think it's just part of it's the edit that we cut out some of that. And it's nice just to have you clear that up for people that will watch this. And I wanted to do that. So it seems like when you hear the stories, the spirits are most often people who died unexpectedly or were not prepared to leave when they did. Does that make sense to you? Do you think that you agree with that? It makes sense to me, but I don't agree with that simply because of my conversations with them. Okay, so let me see if I can clarify. It'll make perfect sense to you, I think, and to anybody. Is that for some, there's even a brief moment when they don't know that. It's like, what happened? What happened? They're immediately taken out of the body. They may even witness it. They may watch it when it happens. But very oftentimes, once they understand that they are now deceased, they're no longer in that body, they're not connected, but they're still who they are, then they travel on. They cross over like everyone else. But others feel like, and this is what causes them to stay, is they feel like, I was in the middle of something. I've got things I needed to do. They're connected in some way. Oh my gosh, my family won't be able to make it without me. Oh, what's going to happen to my children? What's going to happen to my spouse? So in other words, there's thoughts and emotions in that energy that ties them to here. So they don't want to turn loose, and heaven's not going to make you do that. Heaven is about love and kindness, so it's going to say, well, stay, watch over them, remain as long as you want to. But in essence, they stay. Some get stuck because of that. Some then find other things they wanted to take care of and they didn't take care of them. So they go from one thing to another thing to another, and they stay here by choice. It's nothing making them stay here except their own choice. But those choices are good. And many times when I talk to them, I say, oh, what a sweet story that is. I don't blame you. Yeah. And you're helping. Stay there, keep helping your family, keep helping the ones you love. And others say, I've been here a while and they're all coming through it okay. they're going to be all right. I think I can go check out heaven now. I think I can check on them from there. And they choose to move on. It just depends on that individual and how and the choices they make. They still get to make the choices. We have free will for all eternity, not just for this journey here, but for all eternity.
Why do you think hidden stories are the most fascinating kind to us?
Wow, that's a question. Because I just think we are born so darn curious. And I think that's something we're given at birth. We're so curious about everything. I think that's why we learn to talk and walk and move, is that we're just so darn curious. And I think that remains all of our life. And I think that's a part of being engaged here. I think it's what keeps us young, is remaining curious. And that curiosity, wanting to learn, wanting to know more, I think it's a good thing that we have. It sometimes gets us into trouble when we check out those hidden things, but I think it is the intrigue and the curiosity of knowing what we don't know. And I think that is what is key in our evolution as a species. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing except somebody was curious about this.
Yes.
Whatever this is.
Do you think it's possible in our future searches with the Undeparted, assuming we have the opportunity to do this as a series or so, do you think in those searches for hidden stories, do you think it's possible that we may find some things out we wish we didn't know?
Absolutely. I can almost assure you, I can pretty much assure you that that will happen. That's just the inevitable. And I believe with all my heart, from experience and my own personal belief, that that's where you have to be brave and you have to have the courage to do it. It's not going to all go the way you want it to go or the way you think it should go. But going into it with honesty and taking it when it comes, it's so important for all of us and for everyone watching it. It's very important. It's as important as the other side.
Awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to touch upon? I mean, we've touched upon it quite a bit, and it's always a pleasure I think to talk to you. But if there's something you think that you want to address,
No, I just want to just say I hope we keep going.
Me too. I think there's real value in putting out content that I can speak for myself with 100% that what we're doing, what I'm telling people is true as I believe it. I can't speak for everyone coming in and telling us their experiences, but our goal is to look at that and say that doesn't ring right for us, and
Right.
and maybe call that out at that time or not put it in. But I think there's so many people out there experiencing so many different things, and I believe those things are very, very real to those people. And I think getting to the bottom of that, we can help some people, and we can learn, and people can hear, and open a dialogue and not be afraid to talk about these things.
That's right. And that's exactly why I want us to keep going. I just feel like I don't even feel like we know all of the good it can do, but we may learn some of that as we go along. So just want to be here for the audience. And if we can be here for the audience, the rest will take care of itself.
All right, so that concludes part 2 of our interview with Harriet. As we've stated, if you leave a comment asking a question or something that you feel like wasn't answered for you, please please put that in the comments below the video, and it's possible that we'll get back with Harriet. She's agreed to do it, and do a third interview just to pick up little things that you may have missed or that you want to hear more about. Okay, that'd be great. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook at The Undeparted, and please subscribe and ring the bell. Thank you kindly.